We are now going to be having 12 shiurim on 12 perakim. These are the 12 perakim of the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim, and I think it's very important before Pesach to get to know these 12 perakim. Now, there's stories and there's medrash and there's teachings from the Gemara that has been gotten around. To know the full story from beginning to end, what the Torah says, what we can learn from the actual psukim, and what actually happened as the Torah says it, I think is very, very important, and that's the purpose of this share. So let's dig in. This is Share 10, this is Perek Yud. Hashem said to Moshe, Boil Parai, go to Parai. So we just finished the hail that was ice and water and burning on the ground with lots of thunder. Because I'm going to make heavy his heart. Slave avodav, and the heart of his servants. Laman shisi avoisai ele bikirbai. So the man glad they should see that I am amongst them. Ulaman and also Tisaper ba'ozne bincha uven bincha. So you should say to your children and your grandchildren, as I share his salty mitzrayim, how I reduced and destroyed mitzrayim. Alel means to reduce to nothingness. Like when it's talking about a person should not do that to his crops. He should leave over payah, and he should leave over things for the poor. Also, when Bilam complained to the donkey, also that the donkey was him, that he reduced him to nothing. And also when a person complains about a virgin bride or about a wife he doesn't like, it's reducing them basically to nothing. So the lashon here is that basically Hashem picked Mitzrayim clean and reduced them down to nothing. Yes, so Soisai and my signs, Asher Samti Bam, that I placed there. Vidatem Kianei Hashem, so they should know that I'm Hashem. V'yava Moshe v'Aaron, Moshe and Aaron came El Parai. Notice how Moshe and Aaron came to Parai, and it'll be important in a second. V'Amru love, and they both said to him, just like every other makkah so far, everything is starting the same. Ka Yomar Hashem, so said Hashem Elokei Ivrim, the God of the Hebrews. Ad Mosai Me'anta, how long are you going to refuse La'anais Mipanai, to humble yourself before me? Shalach Ami v'Abduni, send out my nation that they may serve me. Ki imain ata, because if you continue to refuse, Shaleach es Ami, to send out my nation, my people, Hineni Mevi Machar Arbeg Buvulacha, I am going to then, behold, bring locust in your territories. V'chisas ein aretz, is going to cover the eye of the land. V'lo yuchal l'roishes aretz, you will not be able to see the land. V'ochal es yeser apleta, and they can eat whatever was left over. Sheres lachem and a barad not destroy. V'ochal es kol eitz, and they can eat from all the trees. Hatzameach, and the sprouting lachem minasoda that grows in the field. Umalu batecha, and they will fill your palaces. Ubate kalavdecha, and the palaces and the houses of all your couriers. Ubate kol mitzrayim, and the house of all mitzrayim. Asher loy ra'u avosecha avois avosecha, that was not seen by your fathers and your forefathers and your grandfathers, all your ancestors. Miyoim hayoisam al-dama, from the time that they came from the earth, from the ground. Ad hayom hazeh, until this day. Vayifem, and he turned, vayetze, and he left Me'im Paro. So once again, Hashem is warning Paro, just like the Bara, that it's going to be something that he's never seen before, ever. Nothing like it was in Mitzrayim. And that goes for the rest of the Makos. So the Bara, the hail, the Arbe, the locust, the Choshech, the darkness, and obviously Makos Bechoros, all that was like something never seen before in Mitzrayim. These two are explicit warnings. The other two are obvious. Obviously, a darkness never lasted, and as we're going to talk about. And obviously, there's no such situation where every single firstborn, every single house, from those in prison to all the way to Paro's palace, died. So these last four makkos were something that they'd never seen before, nothing like it ever. Now, of course, it's very possible they've never seen anything like it before the previous makkos, but these specifically showing that now you know that Hashem is the God, and stronger, obviously, than any other Egyptian god or any other necromancers. What's also interesting is that it says, Vayifen Vayetze, he turned and he left. It said that it was Moshe and Aaron that spoke to them, that Dabru, they spoke a love to Paro, and then it says singular that he left and he turned. So this is talking about Hashem. Hashem now turned and left from Paro, because now Hashem is no longer negotiating with Paro. Hashem came to warn Paro through Moshe and Aaron, and now Hashem left. We're going to see this again. It's going to be reiterated in the pasuk later on. Vayomeru avdei Parai. So when Moshe and Aaron then left the room, also the courtesans of Parai said they love to him, Ad Mosai, until when Yezel lanu l'moikesh? Are you going to be like a snare, like a trap before us? Shalach es anoshim, send out the people. V'yavdu es Hashem Elokehem, and they will serve Hashem their God. Haterem teda, because we already know of the mitzrayim, that mitzrayim is basically lost. We know that. We already see that there's no power like Hashem. People are already turning from you. You're already losing the people. You're losing everything. So just send them out already. What more could you lose? Vayushav es Moshe ves Aaron el Parai. They returned Moshe and Aaron to Parai, v'emer lehem, and this time he said to them, L'chu, go, ivdu es Hashem Elokeichem, go serve Hashem God, but v'mi ha'ilchem, who exactly is going to go with you? Where Moshe? So Moshe said, B'nareinu, with our young, B'zkeneinu, with our old, Nelech, we'll go, B'v'neinu, U'v'neseinu, with our sons and with our daughters, B'tzaynenu, and with our flock, U'biv karenu, and with our herd, Nelech, we'll go, Ki chag Hashem lanu, because it will be a festival for Hashem and for us. V'emer leihem, so he said to them, Yihi chein. So who did Paro talk to now? So Paro no longer talked to Moshe. Now Paro turned his attention to his own avodah, his own advisors, his own courtesans, his own courtiers, his own people that were in his court. And he said to them, Yihi chein, it is so, Hashem imachem, that Hashem is amongst you. It's true that Hashem is amongst you. Kasher ashalach eschem, I shall send you, the estapchem, and your children, Re'u ki ra'a neged pneichem, and you will see what type of evil you are doing opposite your face. In other words, you will see the evil that you're doing. You guys are all bad for me. You're all doing, and I could see it on your faces, that you are no longer with me. You are now against me. If you're now against me, you're Ra. Therefore, I see already that you are with Hashem. You're complaining that you want Moshe and Aaron and the people to go out to serve Hashem, and you think that Mitzrayim's lost. Well, it looks like that you're lost. Lo yichein. No, it's so. L'chu, go. No hagvarim. The men v'ivdu as Hashem, and go you serve Hashem. Ki oisa atem avakshim, because that's what you've been requesting. You don't only request they all Moshe Rabbeinu to serve, and the people of the Ivrim to serve Hashem. You also want to serve Hashem. Vayagarash Isam, and he expelled them eis pnei Parai, from the face of Parai. And we no longer see from now to the end that the Avadav had any say in anything. They no longer complained to Paro because Paro sent them out. After this, Paro's court was empty. He no longer had his courtesans, the people who hung around, and his servants and his advisors were no longer there. He sent them out. He was angry with them. He said, enough. You guys are also going on siding with the Ivrim. You are gone. Hashem says to Moshe, lift up your hand al Eretz Mitzrayim, on the land of Mitzrayim be'arba, for the locust. Now, I'm not sure if he meant lift up his hand with locust in his hands, be'arba, with locust, or be'arba for the sake of locust. Most likely it's the latter, but it wouldn't be surprising if Moshe Rabbeinu took a locust and lifted up, and was told to lift up his hand with a locust in his hand to draw in other locusts. Vayal ala Eretz Mitzrayim, and they'll go up into the country Mitzrayim. Va'ochal, it's called Esav Ba'aretz, and they'll eat all the foliage and grasses of the land. Eis kol asher ha'seir bar, anything else that the barad left over. Vayed Moshe es Mateu. So instead, Moshe lifted up his staff al Eretz Mitzrayim, on the land of Mitzrayim. Vashem niheg ruach kadem ba'aretz, and Hashem drove a easter wind into the land. Kalayim, all day, and also all night. Haboiker haya, when morning came, ruach kadim, there was a strong easterly wind. Nasa es arba, and it carried the locust. Vayala arba, and the arba went up. Bakal Eretz Mitzrayim, the entire country Mitzrayim. Vayonak, and it settled and it camped. Bechal gevul Mitzrayim, in every single territory of Mitzrayim. Territory, like we talked before, means not only Eretz Mitzrayim proper, but also anything that Mitzrayim owned, like its outside forts. and Bergs and any other place that would have that territories that owned outside of its actual borders. So all of its territories it settled. Covered ma'oid, extremely heavy. Lefana, before loy hayachain, there was nothing arbe kamayu, no locust swarm like it. The achrav, and after that loy came. It also was not like it afterwards. Vekasa saying call Haaretz, and it covered up the eye, in other words, the whole plains of all the entire land. Vatechshach Haaretz, and it darkened the land. Vayechal is called Esav Haaretz, and ate all the grass of the field. It's called Priya Eitz, and all the fruit of the trees. Asher Haisar Barad, and whatever's left over from the hail. The loy noisar kol yarak, and not remaining any vegetation, be'etz in the trees, or be'esav foliage hasada in the field, b'chol eretz Mitzrayim, the entire country of Mitzrayim. Again, it doesn't exclude Goshen here. In contextually, we could think that the Goshen was spared. The Yamaher Paro, and Paro hurried Likroi LaMoshe Ula Aaron. Now notice how he didn't call Moshe and Aaron, he called to Moshe and Aaron. In other words, he sent a message. Moshe and Aaron did not return to his palace, but it said Paro sent a message to Moshe and Aaron, and this is what the message said. Well, Yomer, and the message said, Chatasi, I sin Lashem Elokeichem Lachem. I sin to you and to your God. The Ata, and now, Sa, na, please lift for me, Chatasi, my sin, Achapam, please, one more time, V'hatziru Lashem Elokeichem, and please placate and beg Hashem, to Hashem, your God, V'yaser me'alayim, they should turn from me, Rak es hamavzeh, only this death. Still, Paro was not acknowledging Hashem as God. Vayetze me'im Paroi, Hashem had gone out from Paroi. Now, Vayeser al Hashem, so now Moshe, when you receive this message, he davened to Hashem. Vayafoich Hashem ruach yam. So Hashem then turned the wind to make it westerly, chazak boy, very strong. Vayisa es arba, and it carried the locusts. Vayiskaehu yamasuf, and it deposited them into the sea of reeds. The yamsuf. V'loy nisha arbe echad, there's not even a single locust, b'chol gevol Mitzrayim, an area of the territories of Mitzrayim. V'yachzek Hashem eslei Parai, and Hashem made Parai's heart hardened. V'loy shilach es b'nei Yisrael. And that's in b'nei Yisrael. Rebbe Shem Moshe, Hashem to Moshe, Netei yadcha al shemayim, lift up your hand to the skies, the heavens, v'yihi choshech, and it will be dark al Eretz Mitzrayim, on Eretz Mitzrayim, v'yamesh choshech, and they will have to touch the darkness. But Hashem doesn't say how long it was going to be. It says there will be darkness. So the calculation of how long the darkness is the next couple psukim. Vayet Moshe es yadai, so Moshe listened and did perfectly, and he lifted up his hand, al shemayim, upon the heavens, Vayhi choshech afela, and there was a very thick darkness b'chol Eretz Mitzrayim, on the entire country of Mitzrayim, shleish yamim, for 3 days. Loi ro ish el achiv, a person cannot see his friend. And then it says also, V'loi kamu ish mitachtav, a person then also couldn't get up from his place, shleishes yamim, 3 days. Why does the pasuk repeat the 3 days? It should just say, Loi ro ish esachiv, V'loi kamu ish mitachtav. A person can see his friend, and he couldn't get up from his place. We know that it was 3 days from the pasuk before. Why is it repeating 3 days? Because really the choshech was 6 days. 3 days of not being able to see anyone, and 3 more days of such a thickness that they couldn't even get up from their place. Ulchol b'nei Yisrael, and for all b'nei Yisrael, hayar b'moish v'isem, there was light in all of their dwellings. Where they dwelled, there was light. Obviously, not attack Goshen or the b'nei Yisrael. Vayikra Parai el Moshe. So now Parai called Moshe to him, El Moshe to him. Vayomer, and he says, L'chu, go, ivdu as Hashem, go and serve Hashem. Rak, only tzainchem ubekarchem yutzag, only your flock and your herds, they shall remain. Gam tamchem yilchimachem, even your children, your babies can go with you. Moshe said, Gam ata, but also you, titain biyadenu zvachim va'olos. You also have to give us animals for sacrifices and offerings. and burnt offerings, v'asinu l'Hashem Elokeinu, and we'll make them for Hashem. You're also going to send animals. The gamiknenu, and also our flock, yelech imanu, will go, loy tishar parsa, not a single hoof will remain in Mitzrayim, kimimenu nikach, because we have to take them with us, la'avodas Hashem Elokeinu, to serve Hashem our God, v'anachnu, and we loyneda, we do not know ma navoid Hashem, we don't know what Hashem wants us to serve, ad bainim Shama, until we get there. So until we get to where we're going to serve Hashem, we have no idea what Hashem wants from us. Therefore, we can't leave anything behind. Because how could we travel to Hashem and then be unprepared? So not only will you send animals and sacrifices for us, we have to bring all our animals with us also. V'chazek Hashem eslei Parai, so Hashem strengthened Parai's heart, v'loi ava l'shalchem, and he no longer wanted to have the desire to send them. So Pari said to him, Moshe was the one that was called now, not Aaron. Moshe came to the palace and negotiated with Pari. So Vaymer said to him, to singular, to Moshe, Lech Melai, go from before me. He sharmer lecha, and now you should watch for yourself. Al toiseh for ois panai. Do not anymore see my face. Kiba yoim ra'oischa panai tomos. Because if it comes that you have to see my face again, you will die. Whether I call you, whether you want to beg for something else, whether you want to come warn me about another makkah, whatever the case may be, you will not see my face again. Because if you do, then I will kill you. There's no more negotiations with us. We are done. Moshe says, Kain dibarta, so as you said, Loi oisif oid ra'ois panecha, you will not see anymore my face. And in fact, Paro did not see Moshe Rabbeinu's face anymore. We're going to see later on that there was no warning from Makkah's B'chairos to Paro, at least not directly. And also we're going to see that when Paro called to Moshe to drive the people out, he did the same thing. He called to Moshe. He never actually sent Moshe to come back to the palace. This was Perek Yud.